Welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled you're hanging out with us today. Look, we are exploring a concept right now that might literally change how you view your entire workday. We're going to break down exactly why playing browser-based, multiplayer video games at work isn't just some distraction, it's actually the ultimate team-building hack. Seriously, if you want to transform a group of isolated remote workers into a highly cohesive, high-performing unit, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's get into it.
I mean, we've all been there, right? Remember when team building meant, forced karaoke at the local pub or those incredibly awkward trust falls in a sterile hotel conference room? We've evolved past that, thankfully, but the shift to remote and hybrid work threw a massive wrench into our social dynamics. Suddenly, those organic water cooler chats just vanished. Now we face this universal pain of remote isolation and the sheer awkwardness of forced virtual small talk where half the team is stuck on mute. We really need a way to engineer that serendipity again.
And that brings us to a frankly staggering number: 20. According to a Brigham Young University study we uncovered in our sources, teams who play short video games together are 20% more productive than those doing traditional team-building activities. Just let that sink in for a second. A 20% boost in productivity just from playing a game with your coworkers. I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive, but the data is absolutely undeniable.
So why does this actually happen? Well, traditional team building often feels forced, kind of siloed, and totally disconnected from our actual working dynamics. Short video games, on the other hand, do something magical. They engineer serendipity. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. When a marketing manager laughs at a ridiculous mistake made by a lead developer and a totally low-stakes game, a massive barrier just drops. It builds a safe space to fail. It reminds everyone that, hey, there's an actual human behind that email address.
Section 1. Best browser games for teams and quick setup. Okay, let's dive right into this.
Since we know the science supports it, how do we actually implement? Let's go through a curated list of the absolute best frictionless browser games you can start playing with your team literally today. No massive downloads, no huge budgets, just pure connection. First up is Scribble.io. You can think of this as chaotic digital Pictionary. You get a word and you have to draw it with your mouse while your team desperately tries to guess what it is in the chat. What makes this so brilliant for teams is that it levels the playing field instantly. Absolutely no one can draw well with a laptop trackpad. It guarantees laughter and totally strips away any corporate hierarchy, mostly because the CEO is just as bad at drawing a dog with a mouse as the newest intern.
And this brilliantly illustrates how frictionless these browser games actually are. With just a quick 5-step setup, you simply go to the site, click Create Private Room, tweak your settings, drop the link in your team chat, and start. That is it, the whole shebang. There are no massive corporate budgets required. You don't need to submit some long ticket to IT for approval. It is rapid-fire, instant play that fits perfectly into a Friday afternoon wind-down.
Next, we absolutely have to talk about Among Us. This is a game of colleague betrayals and pure deception. You and your team are crewmates on a spaceship trying to complete tasks, but one or more of you are imposters trying to secretly sabotage everyone else. The workplace dynamics revealed here are just hilarious. Imagine the sheer chaos of accusing your project manager of faking tasks in the virtual electrical room. It forces people to debate, persuade, and read each other in a totally new context. It's a real game changer.
Now, if you want to dial up the energy, there is Space Team. This is a cooperative game of pure yelling and operational chaos. The setup is incredibly easy. Everyone just joins a mission on their device's browser or with a really quick free app download, and you all get a control panel with completely absurd buttons and switches. The catch? The instructions for your specific panel are shown on someone else's screen. You have to shout out ridiculous operational commands to your coworkers while they're shouting right back at you so your shared spaceship doesn't crash. It is loud, it is chaotic, and it requires incredible teamwork under pressure.
If you want to test how well your team really listens to each other, play Can You Hear Me Now? It's a true geometric masterclass. One person acts as the speaker, describing an image using only geometric terms. So they can't say draw a house. No way. They have to say something like draw a square and place a triangle on top. The rest of the team draws it completely blindly. The reveal at the end is always hilarious and shows exactly how easily our instructions are misinterpreted. It's a brilliant, low-stakes way to build a culture of precision communication and feedback.
Finally, for the larger groups out there, the Jackbox Party Pack is phenomenal. Now, one person does need to own the pack and host it via a screen share on your video call. But the magic here is that the whole team plays using their mobile phones as controllers. You don't need to download an app at all.
You just go to a browser on your phone, punch in a quick code, and you're instantly in. Games like Quiplash or Drawful are witty, high energy, and completely polished for professional environments. So we've talked about all these fun, accessible browser games. And it's true, an afternoon of Scribble.io or a virtual escape room feels pretty amazing. But now, what's really interesting about this is when we pivot to the deeper science of team dynamics, we have to ask a crucial question. Are one-off games actually enough? Does a single fun gaming session build lasting teamwork?
Well, the hard truth, according to the psychological research and our sources, is that Ebbinghouse's forgetting curve applies to fun too. When a team finishes a hilarious game or beats an escape room, their mood is undeniably boosted. But that feeling, that temporary bond you get, it fades on the exact same curve as any other unreinforced memory. The feeling of fun and the actual development of skills are two totally separate things.
So the crucial point is right here in this data. To put that into perspective, without continuous reinforcement, teams lose 70% of what they learned or experienced within just 24 hours of a single event. 70%. Entertainment needs to be novel, sure, but genuine behavioral development requires repetition. A one-off puzzle event simply doesn't produce the behavioral change that makes teams better at their jobs when the pressure is really on.
And this builds right into some actionable theory. Research identifies 4 processes necessary for sustaining team safety: connecting, clarifying, supporting, and performing. Those one-off games we mentioned, they are absolutely fantastic at hitting the connecting phase. They build familiarity. But actually, scratch that. They completely miss the other 3. They don't clarify roles, they don't help team members practice supporting each other under actual work pressure, and they definitely don't mimic the skills needed for performing complex workplace tasks.
The difference between episodic entertainment and continuous development is pretty stark. Take a virtual escape room, for example. It might cost around $40 per person. It hits only that first connecting process, and the long-term behavioral impact is just temporary. But compare that to continuous simulation platforms like Questworks, which run about $20 a month per user. Because the play is continuous, weekly, and integrated with actual behavioral data, it hits all 4 processes. It produces a compounding behavioral change that a one-off puzzle session simply cannot achieve. It turns a quick laugh into long-term team intelligence.
Which brings us to our final, provocative question to end this explainer. Are you trying to entertain your team or develop them? If you just want a fun Friday, those browser games are perfect. But if you want a high-performing unit that communicates precisely and supports each other under pressure, you really need continuous gamified practice. Do me a favor, take a screenshot right now. Share it directly in your team channel or, send it to your boss. Think about how you are investing your team's time and ask yourself what kind of culture you truly want to build. Thank you so much for learning with us today, and keep exploring.